You must be aware that there are every time both. But when you feed every time your dark side, don't wonder when you have trouble in your life the whole time.
Yes.
But on the other side, don't think that the other wolf wouldn't be there. He is there, and he's the whole time there.
Mm-hmm.
But to be aware of this, and you know that even the one who is not dominating sometimes try to catch something, of course.
Yeah.
And it happened. And you must slow down and say, well, I'm a human being, but I wanted to look to feed the right one.
And we're at Tai Chi Caledonia, 2019. The conversation in the discussion group last night, we had this conversation about mindfulness in the practice of Tai Chi and Qigong. And there were lots of different elements of this coming in, but I was particularly interested in your understanding of the meaning of mindfulness. Yeah, maybe you can explain this a little bit again.
I'm in a way very happy that it's called Tai Chi and Qigong, and not like it normally should be Tai Chi Qigong and Qigong, because it's a little more than just the fighting art. We have it here all, and that's great on British Caledonian, so that it's open for all the background it's in as well, and shows that much more the relation between all these things.
Yeah.
And so that I enjoy very much. And the discussion to bring the practice together with the ideas and the background and the philosophies, and so I found it very useful, because the bridges between there is sometimes not so good, so that people who join in have separate parts but don't know how to bring them really together. And such an event here is great to do this, and the discussion yesterday was fine exactly for this. So I appreciate this very much.
Yeah, it's nice.
My ideas about such things is that that I started with the understanding of mind, and that the mind is possible to open up and to focus. And these are two different areas. This is something absolutely different with this.
Well, this was an interesting development in the conversation last night. I think many people had this.
Right.
There was the idea of mindful.
Yeah.
Or no mind, almost nothing.
Or nothing. And for me, it's this more closing down. It should lead in an accent or in a perspective thing, so that it's not open and empty.
Yeah,
it's open and be able to bring a point in it.
Yes,
and the mind is able to do both. And some people are much more trained to open up the whole time, but they are sometimes don't know what's going on. But they're open for all.
Just take it all in.
Big and where I should go. That's it. And other people say, "Oh, I know what's important for me, and I go my way." And you see, that's great. And we at least need both. And the interesting thing is we can both. But it's difficult to do both at the same time.
Sure.
But that is possible. Depends on the quality you can develop in the opening up and in the bringing it to a point of interest. And so you sometimes have to develop your abilities in opening up. And sometimes you have more to develop the abilities to bring a clear point of interest, so that you not focus on it, but you bring you compromise in the point of interest now. And that's for me a very important point. So some people must learn to to make it thing. And other people has to learn to open up. But at least in the daily life, we need both. And sometimes we are more forced to open up, sometimes more forced to bring a focus in. But at least it should be every time both. A little more this or a little more that. That's a yin-yang concept, I think. And when the yang is so strong that the yin disappears, then there's something wrong. And the opposite around. And so it must be able to get a fluent...
Well, this was an interesting point that someone had made, that the single point of having a goal, an intention, something to focus towards, but not being so caught on that it was this idea of expectations. And so if you focus on something, not to be upset if it doesn't happen as your expectation might be. So you're still then also open enough to go with whatever comes in that path on the way as well.
I think this is, some people has a lot of ideas and intention and wish and where they are looking for, but are not able to make real clear steps. Aims helps to make real steps. But when you're looking after an aim, you make a jump to the aim, and the way between is mostly lost. So the one has much easier, they can dream and think about what they want, so they are more, but it's not easy to go the way. So here is the same, we need in a way both, and sometimes it's necessary to give yourself little steps and aims, but you must be clear about it, that when you do this, you every time make small jumps steps. And you are not in the moment. And you work every time with expectations, which comes from outside or from inside. And this means for the body the same. He behaves when the expectation from außen comes, the stress, and when you have your own expectation, they have the same stress. So it's interesting to look whether it's more this or that, but for the body at least it's nearly the same.
Same thing,
So and it's interesting to look what I have to develop more. And so a picture I very often use is when you follow a teacher, then you are happy that you have a teacher who leads you the way. The big Graal, the big ideas we're looking for, he will lead you to there. But he's standing the whole time between you and the Graal. So at least you can't see what you want. Sometimes it's better when the teacher follows you and gives you some ideas. And that's another kind of thinking, so that you have the orientation, what you want and where it should be, and you have to find your way.
Your own way,
So, but some people needs much more, that you say, well, now we do step and step and step. So that's good that the scene is so big, so that you can find your teacher for which good for you. But the combination of opening up and bringing in a good focus and accent or point in it, you must clear for yourself what you need more. In the daily life, we do every time both, and we can do both. But when your sensitivity for the surrounding breaks completely down because you have one thing in your head, then you have a problem. And that very often happens. And you can train to have a clear idea, and you work on something and you notice what's going on around. So that's the people who can do both.
That's a special kind of training though, isn't it?
Yes.
It takes a long time.
And it's sometimes necessary that you train first, dominate this, and then dominated that. And then you have it as well to train to bring it together at the same time. And when we do Qigong or Tai Chi, we develop sensitivities. We wanted to open up. We wanted to be clear-minded with all what's going on. And so, and then we started to push and we wanted something. And now we have exactly the point where we need both.
Yes.
And you can see when you people pushing around, some people who go for aim for the opportunity or for the chance and only go for this chance.
Yeah.
And other are the whole times I'm looking around but nothing really
happens. Yeah.
And so it's interesting to see, and you can really easily see what the one or the other one needs.
Yes, in the practice.
And then you bring it together. That's the big job.
Yeah.
And Qigong develops more the sensitivity for all what's there. And there we have as well the dialogue between in and outside. And that must be as well. And they could say nearly the same things between the inner and the outside. But we have in Tai Chi more the border between opening up and focusing.
Yeah.
So we need both. So we are at least on the border between in and outside as well, much more. And you need both at the same time. So it's special training.
Well, with the Tai Chi, because with the Qigong, we have the insight because we're working on ourselves and the awareness of the outside. But with the Tai Chi, then with this aspect of being more with this single focus, is this something that you would say you could develop more with the pushing side of Tai Chi rather than solo practice?
You can do this in the solo practice, but it's different because the interaction aspect is not there. So when you make a solo training with this, you can do this very much.
Yeah.
And it's good when you do this in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because it develops the competence to bring it more and more on a point. But when you are in an interaction, this point is not still.
Yeah.
So it's changed the whole
all
time.
the time.
And you must stay with your ideas and willing and follow the changing.
Yeah.
And that you doesn't have in the Qigong so much.
No.
So that's special. So the interaction aspect is a special aspect we have in Tai Chi Chuan. And then it's the thing, if you see it, the form and your single trainings and so develop special qualities which are much more nearer with the Qigong. And then you have the pushing hands. That's much more the interactive competence.
Yes.
But that's even different to the fighting aspect.
Sure.
And to the competition aspect. So, and that's sometimes that they make a jump from there to there. And that's as well a problem because when you started to develop your competence with yourself and jump to the fighting, there is sometimes you miss the competence in interaction on the calmful, friendly way, because some things you can't only develop in this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you think competition, your thinking is competition.
Yeah.
Special qualities we will not learn.
No. And again, you see this, that the path needs to be there to have a complete picture.
And therefore, my understanding is pushing hands. It has nothing to do with fighting.
No.
My understanding.
Yes.
Has nothing to do with competition.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can train even Sancho competition and of course.
Yeah.
But it's a different thing than the pushing. And when you mix this up, then you have the problems in the training and the people are not really happy with this. And though some people says, no, push hand is nothing for me. And the other think that this is a competition. No, it would look otherwise when the other one really wants to.
So
there is as well a jump in.
Yeah.
So it's good that you have different kinds of trainings. And so that the Chinese develop form work, pushing, fixed step pushing in, moving hand, and the Sancho. So they are very different
Do you
stages.
feel you could go the other way? Because in the way that you're describing at the moment, we start with this solo form. So we have this inside, and then a little bit of spatial awareness, and then the interaction. And then if we wanted to really, the competition side is another development of that, if we wanted to do that. But do you feel to get a complete picture that we could go from a more extreme on that side?
It's exactly possible.
Yeah.
But the most teachers don't think so. They see it like a quality which goes up.
Mm-hmm,
but it's another level, not in the steps, you can say, but in the ways which you have experience in the one to come in the other one. That's yes. But each body has it all already. So somebody there comes from fighting and noticed that he's missing maybe a human quality in this or something. Started automatically nearly to go the way back. And he makes not the real jump. He have the looking for maybe the important things in the life, but he can't bring it together. And so Tai Chi and Qigong can be the way as well to help him to find this way back so that he has respect for that which he can do really good. But some people lose the honestly with themselves and say, well, what I have done was rubbish. No, that's great. That's a special competence.
It was important in that time.
But the question is how you integrate it in your whole personality. And therefore can Qigong and Tai Chi be a big help in each way and from to each. So that's a possibility. It's more like you can spread out from there in all areas. And maybe that you started with philosophy and ends up in a fighting art. That's possible. And that the fighter ends up in the philosophy or in a hospital as a special trainer for cancer. You see that? And that's great on this. I love this. But in this world, but clear, you must have an intention. And the intention is, it's a question, what is the intention? For me, is the intention the ability to be and now we are on the mindfulness again, on the point where you are able to erfassen, to catch all what's at the moment here and for all. And this means not only the stuff, it means the atmosphere, and it means the dreams and the ideas. It means all. And you can catch in an atmosphere and see the stuff around and can look whether it fits together or not. Or you notice there is somebody or in the room is an atmosphere that they wanted something also. You notice what's going on here. And so on. Each body can feel this. Don't have to learn Tai Chi or Tai Qigong or make yoga. No. But the question is how I can develop it. And for some people it's that better and that better and that. When you notice what's going on the different, if you see it in Himmel, Earth and human being, so you have at least the stuff, the atmosphere, feelings, the energy in the room, and the clear-minded ideas, and that what's worth is to live for. And this you have to make your update every day nearly, because it's changed. With all your experience you make, you change a little what's holy for you. And that's important that you look after this.
This was a nice quality that you mentioned last night, because I think this idea of the updates every day, this aspect is that continual practice, and not just saying, I'm aware of all of this, I feel this, and that's it, I've ticked that box and now I carry on. You've got to stay with it. But you mentioned this quality of if we can sit with this in this presence and have this kind of awareness, being able to find, like you said, what is holy for you, and then
when you have this, these started to have orientation. So that what is the next question. What means this for you?
Yeah.
And not what's all there and what's the atmosphere here and what's holy in the world. No, what it's holy for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's relevant for me.
Yeah.
And this chair is much more relevant than this one at the moment. So
yeah.
you see, such simple things.
Sure.
And when you get this clear, then and you have an ability to bring something in moving, then it needs a small push. And this push shouldn't come out of the thinking. It should become out of an understanding. And the understanding is a kind of opening up.
Yeah.
And you understand what the situation now needs to bring something in moving.
Yeah.
So the ability to bring a focus in started with the finding of the necessary, what's just necessary, what the situation needs in it.
Yeah.
And in that moment, you bring both together, the opening and the closing down to that it started to move. And that's the point in the yin, you can say, and the spring of things. And so the whole thing comes in moving again.
Well, this brings then to that question of if somebody is unsure, and they go to their teacher and they ask the teacher, please give me the answer. And you'd mentioned this before, the quality of not giving the answers.
Yeah, I think it's a big teacher quality when he is able to give so much quietness in the searching process of the pupil, that he stays on searching when he wants to understand things. But the pupil asks very often when he wants to understand it. But when he wanted to understand, he should keep these questions with him because he wished he had an answer. But when the teacher gives an answer, it's just for that moment, but had nothing to do with understanding.
Yeah.
When you have to do things, to act to things, then you need answers. Then you can say, I could do maybe, no, then you must be clear and say, So it's good when you have an answer for all the questions when you have to do. But when you want to understand, you don't need this.
No.
And you lose your question when you get an answer.
Well, that's it. And it's like what you said earlier about, rather than the teacher leading you and being in the way of your goal.
Right.
Yeah. You have your orientation and your teacher is behind you and just
give a little small intentions when he loses the way and or the focus go to the small flower, but he wants to there. And then
keep looking over there.
So say, now, what was your question?
Yes.
What you are interested in? Because you lose that. And that's a real big deal to learn to stay with you what you want, and what you want is not a name. And that's the problem. But the smallest disturbing, the most people are in the connection with the disturbing. So a small disturbing, you go with the disturbing. You go with the disturbing. And you really forgot what you wanted to do. So, and that happened in the daily life the whole time. So you wanted to do something and a kid come and suddenly what want to do? You forgot it. You really forgot it. And it's the big ability to be able not to forget even when disturbing is there. That's within the pushing hands quality. It's as well fighting. You shouldn't be disturbed by anything when you want there.
Yes.
And you must will come on with all the disturbance, so that you don't become hard, but you can follow and keep on going for that. What's your ambition is?
Do you know, Wilhelm, I sat in with some of your workshops, and this quality really came across in the pushing, that it wasn't pushing, it was what is the intention, what is, whether it was the Peng, the Liu, the Ji, whatever we're working with, that was the orientation in that time. And then following through with that.
Yeah. That's the thing I'm looking for in the teaching, to keep the people in that what they want, and they shouldn't let them disturb, but they try to open up as much as possible.
Yeah.
And being aware that there are maybe disturbings, and but you still have an idea of what's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you wanted to go traveling and you are disturbed because you don't find your trousers, and you will, out of this reason, don't travel. That's a pity.
Yes, true.
It's a little overdrawn, but that's what the normal life is.
But actually, it does happen.
And that's the transfer in the normal life as well.
Yeah.
And so be able to be in your holy things, in that where you are looking forward in your life, and make the updates continuously.
Yes.
So you know what tools you are necessary and to develop them. Yeah. So learning to open up, to be aware of all what's just at the moment, but be clear in that where it should go. With not aim,
no.
but visions, real visions where you want it to be. That's like a graal where you are. Yeah, so that must be not a name and not a person. No. So that's, for me, is the thing. When somebody asks me, who is your teacher? I say, well, I have a lot of co-teachers, but the main teacher is the nation. Nation outside. And the nation of the human being. Yeah. And that's the teacher. Yeah. Because it's so complicated. I'm happy that the nation has so many co-trainers and Togen. And I have brilliant teachers, which helps. But the main teacher, I have main thing, one teacher. Yeah. And it's just the nature of human being, the nature outside. Yeah. And if you're aware about this, you know what important role the co-trainer or the co-teacher has. Yes. And it has not every time the whole life the same one. No, that can change as well. Sure. But you have to stay with them, otherwise you will not learn it. Yeah. So staying, that's a similar programmation. Yeah. You must stay in, but stay for that what you are looking for. Yeah. And not for the person alone. Yes. And in my teaching, I'm not interested to produce a lot of Wilhelms. No. I'm interested that they not doing my Tai Chi. That's not, no, they have to find their Tai Chi. Yeah. And their Tai Chi is a different Tai Chi of mine. Yeah. And then it's interesting for me. Otherwise, my Tai Chi I know already. So otherwise, it wouldn't be not interesting for me anymore to teach. But because it's so interesting, but the people, for them, as Tai Chi finds, that's very interesting. And so I'm still, like to teach. And that's the stuff out of Western, I would teach. Not because the Tai Chi. No. It's I have by myself.
This is wonderful. This is, perfect. The way it should be, I feel.
The honesty has exactly to do with all this stuff, and I will put it in a different way. Well, I was in a very, very good family who knows all the world, how the world is and how we have to do it. Very religion and very. I am trained in staying with you, all this, and so I am built up in the idea you have to become holy. and all was. I'm so happy that in my later life find a woman which makes me from a holy person to a human being. Exercise the brain! And so it was so great for me because she made me to a human being.
Yeah.
And it's so much.
Yeah.
And so this was a step into honesty,
Yeah.
even when it was not a nice size. You see, but to realize all this, that you have a dark side as well, and it's still there, and you have the choice whether it's what's dominating just.
Mm.
And so that's the question. What with the story of the two wolves, where the grandfather first, the bad wolf and the good wolf, and he says, yeah, and each body has these two wolves inside. Yeah, and how I come on with this, and the grandpa only says, you must know what kind of wolf you want to feed. And this is in a way the answer.
Yeah.
You must be aware that there are every time both. But when you feed every time your dark side, don't wonder when you have trouble in your life the whole time.
Yes.
But on the other side, don't think that the other wolf wouldn't be there. He is there, and he's the whole time there.
Mm-hmm.
But to be aware of this, and you know that even the one who is not dominating sometimes try to catch something, of course.
Yeah.
And it happened. And you must slow down and say, well, I'm a human being, but I wanted to feed the right one.
Yeah.
So, and this is for me honest. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with your dreams as well, and ideas and visions. From is as well a lot of theme. What is dream? What's an aim? What's an ambition? What's vision? And when it's a real vision, you have the connection to that where you are. And that's very important. And to develop such things is as well very important.
Yeah.
Staying whole times with your dreams.
Maybe a little problem.
So, and don't be afraid that this becomes all not true. In a vision, it's not so important that all comes true because we have the relation.
Mm-hmm.
So some things are as well big theme, I think, which we just can't. But all this has to do with honesty as well.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, and sometimes it's you are not honest when you are just looking after the daily life. Mm-hmm. It's not honest with yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sometimes it's not good to have only visions.
Yes.
Because you lose your family and think because you are only on the way.
Yeah.
But when you have kids and family, you don't be allowed to just have only kids and family. No. You must.
Absolutely.
You must.
Yes.
Yeah. And so and it's very difficult. Yeah. And just when the kids are in an age where they wanted to know it.
Yeah.
And then you found out that when you are a couple, you have interested in the relation of the couple, and not every time the whole family. Yeah. So that's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Has to find out what it's to do, and then we are on the beginning. You must mindful. Means that you clear up what's going on really, what are your visions, and what needs the situation now. And that's the point. If you go out of this dialogue, you will
wonder.
That you can't expect that this works every time.
No.
I feel continuously.
Yeah.
But I'm still alive, so.
Well, we're doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Because I think this is one of the things when you ask yourself, what does the situation now needs.
That's the point where
That's
it
the
started to move in eine Veränderung so that it started to change from yin to yang or from yang to yin to it needs the opening and the point of things. And thinking or can't do this.
No, because this is what I was going to say, is that you can have, if I think, what does the situation now needs, that really has to come from a place that is not telling me stories of what I think other people might think it needs, or a picture that is painted. I really have to listen in that moment. And again, it's this question that might not have an answer unless I sit with it for some time.
In a situation with push hand, you know exactly when somebody suddenly think he want to do that. And there is a break.
Yeah.
And he hasn't understand what the situation need. He is too late.
Yeah.
So the surest possibility to be too late is to think about.
Yeah. It's too slow.
Too slow. You have to feel what the situation needs. And you are then in time. And one thought is too long to fit in the now.
Yeah. What is the purpose of Tai Chi? What are we trying to... What are we developing in
and
ourselves?
that sometimes you must just train that. And then it's, of course, you have to bring your focus in that, but you don't lose that. That's not your vision of the whole thing. That's a different thing. And then it's good when there is maybe a book or somebody who tells you, or a teacher who says you, do this and do this stronger and stronger, but don't forget you do this because you have it, and not only a dream, you have a vision, and so it must be therefore
Absolutely.
it's good.
It's great. Thank you very much.
Pleasure for me.
Thank you.